And hello, welcome to another episode of the TLC podcast. I'm your host, Eric, joined as always by Mike. Mike,
Good evening. How you doing tonight?
turn off the music there.
Uh,
Hope everybody enjoyed that.
Very
Trying to,
lovely music.
yeah, right. Trying to,
Uh,
set the ambiance for
yes.
tonight. So lots to go over, lots to unpack since we last saw everybody a couple weeks ago. Um, No, don't worry, everybody. There was not a Roman Reigns title defense. We didn't have that. It wasn't
We
that
didn't
crazy.
have that. No.
Nah.
But we
But
have a new Money in the Bank winner.
yes, we do, Mr. Theory. I'm curious your thoughts on Theory's win.
You know what? I give them credit. Someone new. They're
Yes.
trying to build new stars. The Live
Hmm.
Money in the Bank went over really well, I think, the way she cashed it in.
Yeah.
Now, the Theory, I think it's a good idea. I'm hoping that now we can have another star that they can rely on
Right.
in the main event picture.
Does it not kind of seem like he's built a little like John Cena, the prototype?
Just a little bit. Just a little. And then the whole thing with him, how they want him to be the youngest champion. They're they're pushing him to the moon, but hey, sometimes you have to do that.
Oh, sure. And I really hope that they have like a little like backstage beef thing between him and Randy Orton.
I
The
hope they do.
actual youngest world champion ever.
Yeah. I think they will.
Yeah,
Hopefully
that's
Randy
got to happen.
comes back next year healthy.
Right. I'll tell you, like to me, as much as they're building up the cash in to be at SummerSlam, does it not feel like that? There's no way that can be the cash in day.
I think it might be. As
Okay.
much as they're building it up, if they get even if they get one of the titles off with the cash in, that's an option.
Hmm.
Or the other thing I was thinking is if they let Theory cash it in, if McIntyre wins and goes to Clash at the Castle, and then let
Hmm.
McIntyre win it from Theory, I mean, I don't know. But I mean, this reign's so long that do you really want to end it on a Money in the Bank cash?
See, and that's why I don't think it's going to be. I think what ends the title reign is going to be a Clash of the Castle. Drew McIntyre gets his WrestleMania esque moment in front of the fan. I've been screaming for a couple of
Mhm.
years that he deserved his WrestleMania redo.
He does. He really
And
does. I mean, he's
right,
carried that company for a while, him and Roman, and especially because it's neighboring country in the UK. Let him have
right.
his moment.
I mean that like this is headlining Wembley Stadium has to be Drew McIntyre's dream ever since SummerSlam '92,
Yep,
and it would God, it would be so perfect.
it really would be, and so well deserved too.
Right. I feel like what should happen would be like one of those like fake out cash ins. Like we had a couple with Seth Rollins where he attempted to cash in on Brock Lesnar and John Cena at the conclusion of their Night of Champions match.
That's true.
The month after John Cena won or got suplexed out of the main event,
Yep,
as Paul Heyman likes to say. And I'll tell you, like, I'm a big fan of the botched cash in attempt
it
where,
adds excitement.
yeah, like a psych out. Like, I'm a big fan of those. So, like, to me, that would make a lot of sense if, like, say, Roman were to win, and say on dubious circumstances, maybe the Usos get involved and they, help Roman retain the championship. And then out comes Theory for the cash in. Usos give him, the double super kick or something and send him out, like, so he can't cash in.
Right. That would work. I just hope they don't let him do it Corbin and Sandow.
I hope
Where
not to.
where they give it to him and then they have him lose it. I mean, I was there when Sandow won the Money in the Bank because that
Right.
was the one in Philly, and
Yeah, yeah, that
the,
was really cool too.
the crowd was actually behind it when he won. I mean, I
Of
think everyone
course.
was pushing for Cody, but when Sandow won, it was, hey, this is someone different. This is
Right.
interesting, and then they squandered it again.
Yeah. And I mean, to waste it on the cash in on John Cena, when was it a month earlier when was it Del Rio was, yeah, when he was left laying by Rob Van Dam after the match. I'm like, okay, this makes all the sense in the world for Sandow to
Yeah.
come and cash in.
Yep,
And then John Cena has a torn tricep, comes back 2 months later after surgery,
and
and
wins it.
yeah, it wins.
Yeah.
And then Sandow attacks him, and I'm like, oh, okay, a 1 day title reign for John Cena. John Cena's a big, like, I'm in my head, making up in my head, like, okay, John Cena's a big enough star to be able to withstand this, having the one
Yeah.
day title reign.
Yep.
And then and then Sandow loses, and they never did anything good with him again.
No. I mean, they
And
did the
I'm worried
Mizdow
about that.
gimmick, which was hilarious, but he's just one that
Well,
I don't get they didn't do more with.
yeah. Well, I mean, Sandow was so good, and he was so over with the audience that, and that's the part where like it ticks me off when Vince McMahon and all the powers that be, all they say is, "Hey, if you get over with the audience, you'll be fine."
Right.
How the hell did Sandow not get over with the audience? He made
Uh,
his acting gimmick. He got that over.
yeah, he did. He really got that over. He was amazing with that gimmick. And then they did
Mhm.
all this other stuff with him, and they just squandered him. And another guy they did that to was Cesaro, I thought.
Absolutely. Like with the Real Americans thing. Like, okay, Cesaro wasn't actually even American, and you
Yeah.
put him in there with Swagger, and I thought, I'm like, okay, there's no American you can just put in that role.
Right.
You had to put Cesaro in that role, and then afterwards, when you're ready to break them up, like there's no big send off for a rivalry with the two of them.
No.
Like you didn't have some big payoff match. They finally wrestled this past week on AEW.
Yeah, they finally got that payoff
Yeah,
after all these years in a different company.
yeah, long term
Yeah.
payoff.
Yep.
That's good long term booking there, WWE.
Yep. They're good at that.
But it was one of those things. Like I look at both those guys, like Sandow and Cesaro, and I say, how did like if you want to say, oh, if you get over with the audience, we'll give you an opportunity. Okay, well, where was their opportunities?
Yeah, they didn't get one. I
And,
mean, Vince even said it on that Stone Cold podcast
mhm.
that Cesaro's not over. No, he's really over. And you're just not letting him do anything. And then you make him lose his tag titles at WrestleMania to a 10-year-old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, with the bar. He
Oh,
was Cesaro was a guy who everything you gave him, he turned every bit of chicken shit into chicken salad.
he did. He did. And I really hope that AEW does more with him.
Yeah.
I think they will. I mean, his match with Zack Sabre at Forbidden Door was great.
Hmm.
And I'm interested to see what they're going to do if he's going to win the title at Death Before Dishonor this Saturday.
Right. Yeah. Death Before Dishonor this Saturday. So this is a a pay per view preview episode. Like Jonathan Gresham, I'm a fan of what they're doing with the octopus there, having the heel turn,
Yep.
and yeah, I'm a fan of it because to me, I felt like his nice guy, ooh, this pure wrestler gimmick. I thought it was such a shtick,
Yeah.
and I was not buying it. And the heel Jonathan Gresham, I'm digging.
Me too. especially with Tully Blanchard.
Yeah. Tully
Well,
Blanchard, just everything he touches turned to gold, except for maybe his daughter. But
and really, he can't help that.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't help
daughter
if
makes
your
a couple
daughter's a
offhanded
bully.
remarks
Uh,
and is persona non grata in the
right.
wrestling world.
Oh boy, yeah. I think she's got. I think she did a lot of bullying too,
Yeah, yeah,
which
I've heard
doesn't
that.
help. Yeah, that's what I heard. I'm not sure, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Right, I heard a lot of that went on at WoW Women of Wrestling.
Yes.
She bullied her way through there,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was such a gimmicky company. Like,
Do you remember them in the 2000s? Like
oh, yeah.
2000, 2001, how bad that was on Channel 48 at midnight?
It's funny because I found it. I found the show because of the website Women of Wrestling.
Okay.
That was always, the website. Some, young teenage wrestling fans who enjoy their favorite female performers wanted to
Mm-hmm.
check out some risque pictures.
Yep.
And so I saw, like, on the TV guide, wow, Women of Wrestling on the TV guide. And so I thought, oh my God, are they going to be showing like risque? Is this like some risque photo shoot thing? It was not.
Oh,
It
it
was
was
not, buddy.
Lana starring Caged Heat. Oh gosh.
Oh man. Yeah. So I watched the one episode. I'm like, well, where's like Terry Reynolds' cans at? Like, come on.
Yeah, no, it was just a train wreck. I mean, what is that guy's name? David something. He was behind Glow. He's been behind WoW, and
Right.
both of the attempts they've been on TV. I mean, I think you need a new hobby at this point.
And I know Ginny Bus was financially supporting it. Basically in name only, just saying, "Hey, Ginny Bus supports WoW Women of Wrestling,"
Yeah.
and it was basically just for him to get his rocks off. Given every girl had some weird name,
Oh,
and except for Tessa Blanchard.
yeah. Yeah, and it was all just gimmicky. Oh, and then Jungle Girl with no I, but a bunch of R's in there. It's like, really?
Jungle Girl.
Yeah. She was
It's like,
good,
yeah,
but like, come on, do something better.
I know, I know. All I was thinking was, my God, if you got the McMahons behind this could take off.
It could. It could.
Because like Jungle Girl was a talented wrestler.
Yep.
Obviously, what Fire, it was very, very talented.
Oh yeah, Kira
Kira
Hogan.
Hogan,
Yeah.
yeah, it's now one of the baddies for
For Jade
which,
Cargill,
yeah,
which is such a bad gimmick to.
it's a terrible gimmick for an ultra talented woman.
All right, and same with Red Velvet. I think Red Velvet
Yeah,
is very talented. Don't
hmm
make her a lackey. Make her own star.
and I get it. Factions can make stars,
All
but
right.
factions can kill stars too.
All right. And AEW has way too many factions, I think.
I feel like WWE and AEW should kind of meet in the middle with this. AEW has nothing but factions.
Yeah.
WWE has no factions.
Yeah.
Can we meet in the middle? Like, just, give me a solid two or three.
Exactly.
Because right
But
now, like, I know we're a long way off from War Games or Survivor Series, but, like, there's no.
oh,
I mean, I guess Joe Gacy and his bunch will be in
oh
War Games.
god. Oh, I don't.
Which
I
is the
feel.
Grizzled Young Veterans, which I actually like that they're doing something with those guys now.
I feel bad for them that they made them lackeys because they are so talented. But yeah, at least they're doing something with them. And I have a hunch. Tony D'Angelo's family is going to be involved.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because they have enough. with that, since they absorbed Legado del Fantasma.
Sure.
So might be D'Angelo versus Gacy, but how are they going to bring that in? Or is it
And
going to be
to me,
Diamond
it's two
Mine?
heel factions, like,
Yeah,
or maybe Diamond Mind. Yeah,
yeah. But then Roger Strong wants out of WWE in the worst way, from what the dirt sheets are
yeah.
saying.
Everything he says is all anti WWE. He wants to go be with his boys in AEW.
Yeah. I mean, he's got a lot of boys there. I see why he wants to go there, but
Sure.
this is also a time where he can prove that he's a step above everybody else and
Yes,
break
he
out.
could.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, AEW is the mid Carter's dream. It's
Yes,
just a collection of mid Carters there.
it really is at this point.
Because I mean, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, John Moxley. Who else in AEW? Okay, Brian Danielson too. But who else in AEW has drawn a dime in this business?
Punk,
Okay, all right, I'll give you
Punk,
Punk.
and then other than that, no one really. People might
Right.
say the Young Bucks,
Uh,
but
okay.
I can't stand them. I find them just to be too many super
Well,
kicks, too many spots.
yeah, it's a spot fest, and like you're supposed to be heels, but you don't actually act like heels. You want
Yeah,
to be the cool heels, but you're not really the cool heels. Like,
yeah. They have an identity crisis. Those two.
yeah, like who are you? Like
I'm trying to
FTR.
figure that.
Like I know who FTR is. They're the wrestling purists. They want to do great tag team wrestling. They want to have 5, 6, 7 star bangers with everybody out there.
Yep.
Like, but they're a babyface tag team now, which is what their role always should have been.
Yeah.
And but now they're finally in their role and they've hit their sweet spot. I feel like they're going to be the dominant tag team of AEW, Ring of Honor, whatever you want to call it. It's basically now pro wrestling or sports entertainment is split between WWE and everybody else.
Pretty much. That's
And
how I
maybe that's
feel.
the way it's always been, but or at least since 2001.
Right.
Uh,
And even then, it's just
yeah.
they're so far ahead of everyone else with everything they do.
Well, and I know a lot of that, and people will get upset at this, but it's because Vince McMahon's always been a forward thinker.
Yep.
And it's taken an alliance to try and even take a part of him down.
And
Like,
they can't.
they just can't. Like, as much as people want to knock Vince McMahon for not liking guys that he didn't necessarily create, like, he never put over Ric Flair. Ric Flair won the WWE title twice, basically because Vince McMahon was forced to make him win the world title twice.
Yep.
And then of course he won 14 world championships with WCW. But like, and Ric Flair, is he one of the, well, maybe AJ Styles as well, as far as guys who won the title that Vince McMahon didn't create? Because, and those who argue that Daniel Bryan was not a Vince McMahon creation, I would argue, just even look at the name. He's not
Yeah.
Bryan Danielson. He's
Yeah.
Daniel Bryan,
He's Daniel Bryan. I'm trying to think here.
right? It's
Uh,
nuts.
it's nuts because even though he was a star before in the AWA, Hogan might be the one you have to go back to because Vern did create Hulkamania,
Yeah.
but
And
then
Vince catapulted it.
and Vince just shot it to a whole other stratosphere. That
And
which
he took it where it would never have gone to that height without
oh
Vince McMahon.
no, no, and that's one thing I saw Jim Cornette talk about a couple years ago when someone
Mm-hmm.
asked him who could have replaced Hogan in that role in '84, and it was so tough to think of a name who could have been that level star for that promotion at that time.
Right.
Because I remember they put through like Slaughter because he was the number 2 face at the time. Would he brought
Sure.
Dusty Rhodes in? Could he brought Kerry Von
I
Erich
think
up?
Dusty could have done it. Like when he
The-
brought Dusty in, I think Dusty
Right.
could have been that guy.
And that's another guy. He brought him in the late 80s,
Mm-hmm.
threw polka dots on him, and Dusty got polka dots over.
Yeah. I mean, I almost wonder if some of that is a test for McMahon. Like he will give them the most ridiculous gimmick and say, "Look, I know you're good. Can you get crap over?
Yeah.
If you can get crap over, you can get anything over, and then I'll trust you."
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what happened with Dusty, and like that's what happened with a number of guys that like he just gives them this crap, and if they get it over, then he starts to think, okay, I can trust them then to get more over.
All right. And then, I mean, I don't know about you, but one of my favorite failed gimmicks was the Red Rooster. I just love that gimmick.
It was interesting because Terry Taylor could just flat out go in the ring.
Yeah.
Like he was just an awesome worker.
Yeah. But that was just horrible. Yet again, another guy who they could have done more with.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Terry Taylor. Terry Taylor's another name that I heard. Like, could he have been that star in the 80s? Like Hulk Hogan?
He could have been. He had the look. Like, I'm kind of surprised Crockett didn't do more with him.
Yeah. I really thought, like, Terry Taylor versus Ric Flair, I thought that had the makings of a great main event. That should have headlined a Starrcade.
That almost, that was one of the biggest gates in the Superdome, I think.
Right.
When Taylor was in Mid-South UWF, that was a huge match they had. And Taylor tells an awesome story about it on one of the DVDs they put out.
Okay.
Where Flair comes into the building like absolutely drunk, tells him, wake me up in an hour with a black coffee, and then Flair went out there and wrestled at Broadway with Taylor. Just unbelievable.
And I love that they had a term for it, the Broadway.
Yeah.
Going the hour was, we're going to go out there and have a Broadway.
Yeah.
We're going to have a 60-minute draw. And see, I wish they would do, I know people's attention spans suck.
Yeah.
And so having a 60-minute match would like kill a vibe for a show, especially in WWE where your audience is primarily a young person audience, which has me kind of confused with the TV-14 rating that they want to go to.
That has me confused too.
Like, you've been, for a generation, it's been all about the kids, like everything since the end of the Attitude Era has been the PG. It's all about putting butts in seats and smile on faces.
Yep.
And, from the R-Truth, and God bless him, I think R-Truth is a future Hall of Famer.
Oh, absolutely.
Just because of the work he's done as a comedic wrestler.
Yeah.
But now, if you're going to go to a harder edge, like if you want to commit to like an Attitude Era-esque type run, like that has to change. Like the R-Truths of the world are going to be obsolete.
I don't get it because my son's 8. He loves WWE. Mm-hmm. And it's like, what are they going to do? Like when I was 8, it was 88. I mean, we had a bunch of other promotions on TV as well. Mm-hmm. Even though I probably shouldn't have been watching Crockett or I remember every day after school, either World Class or AWA was on ESPN.
Yeah, absolutely.
And World Class showed some stuff for 4:00 on a weekday that you're like, oh, is this supposed to be on TV? But yeah, some of that stuff, it's just unbelievable. And now they're going to go to TV-14 when they've been such a family-oriented program.
And it's funny because they've been trying to, well, at least the network has been trying to push WWE to go to a harder edge, to like have more of an attitude, at least in the later hours, saying like, look, 9, 10 o'clock, like we're competing against shows that are more risque.
Right.
And here you are appealing to, your 10-year-olds who, let's be honest, they're not up anymore. They're in bed
Correct.
now.
Right. And
Yeah, go ahead.
and that's what I thought. Maybe that Raw Underground was going to work a little bit, but
Hmm.
they quickly pulled the plug on that. I don't know
Yeah,
because of the
that was weird.
pandemic, because it was right around that time with the pandemic too, where they pulled it. I guess they didn't want so many people in a room, and we didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
But I thought that was something different, and it added more of an element to it.
And it did introduce Omos to us.
That it did, and
Which
then
let's circle back to Omos. Let's talk about what he did this past week facing Angelo Dawkins and the Street Profits. Your
yeah,
thoughts on that match, and then the Street Profits versus MVP and Omos match that took place right after that.
I thought it was a silliness, just that whole angle. I get
Yeah,
why they're trying to get some heat on the Usos, and what's the biggest way to get heat on someone? Bully some people,
yeah,
and then have the biggest guy come out and try to help you out. But it's just like I thought they had a really good match at Money in the Bank. I
mm,
don't think you really need to rope in. I mean, you had Omos, you've had R-Truth now, but then again, how many times can we see either Jimmy or Jay against Montez or Angelo on a one-on-one? So
sure.
then again, it's like, okay, at least we're trying something different to kind of keep it spiced up until SummerSlam.
Yeah, and it's just we've had, they had the match at Money in the Bank. They're having a rematch at SummerSlam. This is why, I mean, you only having 4 weeks in between pay per views, I think, has made it harder to build some angles, but also, man, like it's kind of exposed how this tag team division. It's like, hey, this week I made the comment a couple weeks ago about the Brawling Brutes versus the New Day and how it was just one
Over.
combination of it after another.
Yeah.
And how many of those did we need to see? Jimmy Uso versus Montez Ford,
Uh,
and Jimmy Uso versus Angelo Dawkins, Jay Uso versus Montez Ford, Jay Uso versus Angelo Dawkins. Like,
and
they did it to the whole build up for Money in the Bank. I did not want to see them to continue to do that for the build up for SummerSlam.
right.
I
Hey,
was,
here.
yeah, go ahead.
Oh, here's an idea. Put another team in the picture.
Right. And I guess that's what they were trying to do with Omos and MVP, but
But yeah, not going to work out. Well,
no.
I
And
mean,
I'm tired of this stiff babe or this stiff bad guys, stiff heel who just can't work and having to constantly be in control and make it look like these baby faces just can't hang with them. Like when Omos was facing like AJ Styles, and the AJ Styles is a Grand Slam champion. Has won the IWGP World Championship, the Impact Wrestling World Championship, has done things all over the globe, main evented WrestleMania, and you're going to try to sell me on the fact that he can't hang with Omos?
yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, my wife barely watches wrestling.
Yeah.
She saw that's the guy who hangs out with Jay Lethal and
Oh, Sanjay Dutt.
Sanjay Dutt.
Yeah.
Singh is his last name. She was
Mhm.
saying, "Who's that guy?" I said, "Don't worry, he's going to be terrible. He's going to be terrible."
Yeah.
So because he reminds me of a Giant Gonzalez
Yeah.
compared to a Great Khali or Great Khali instead of an Andre.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. I would
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah. So I really think that Omos has potential to be great, but then again, he might turn into a Giant
Yeah.
Gonzalez type.
Oh yeah.
So I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Yeah, I mean, and it's one of those things where, gosh, he needs to be booked right. Like, there are some guys like that are just going to be a star no matter what. Like AJ Styles, first time I saw him, he was in WCW, and I remember seeing him thinking that guy's going to be money. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know how, I don't know where. That guy just has a move set and like can wrestle a broomstick and make it look good.
Right.
And I just thought AJ Styles is money.
Yeah.
And so there are some guys like an AJ Styles that no matter what you do, he's going to be money. And some guys have to be booked right. And
Right.
Omos needs to be booked
Be
right,
booked right.
and he can be money.
Most Giants need to be booked right.
Yeah,
Like really, the only two who could do were Andre and the Big Show.
yeah,
Other than
oh yeah,
that, you have to book them to be this monster bad guy because I mean, when you look at Elegante when he first came
hmm
in WCW, he was just awkward, and I was shocked when WWE put him in that horrible bodysuit and called him Giant Gonzalez.
oh yeah. And build him as 8 feet tall, and I
Oh,
mean,
that was awful. And then Kali, another one, Mabel, when they tried to make him into King Mabel,
yeah.
and they tried him and Diesel in that title picture. That was just a fiasco.
And it was just so clunky and awkward. The match was just brutal.
Yeah. Now
And yeah, go ahead.
and another one who I think was okay, but they could have done more with was Mark Henry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I would agree with that. They could have done more with Mark Henry.
Yeah.
He was
And,
a guy who really he was a legit Olympian
yeah.
and like committed himself to being a pro wrestler. And I almost wonder if this is going to be kind of the way Logan Paul goes too, because Logan Paul is committed. He's signed a WWE contract, wants to be a pro wrestler.
I don't get it.
I don't either, man. Like you're a YouTube sensation. I mean, I know in his first ever boxing match went the distance with Floyd Money Mayweather.
Right.
Uh,
Uh,
I
that's
don't
what
understand. I don't understand either side's appeal here. I don't understand why WWE would want to offer him a big contract. I don't understand why he'd want to take it.
WWE's appeal is. Oh, he's a YouTube star, another name. Because again, SummerSlam, Brock Lesnar's on the card, Roman's on the card, two part timers pretty much.
Sure.
Logan Paul's on the card, and then Shane McMahon Jr. I mean Pat McAfee is on the card.
Yeah.
Because really, he stepped in the Shane's role now of the one
It's
person.
funny. Like, he really kind of has.
Yeah, I read that, and I'm just like, I like that. That's a good point. That he's just kind of stepped into this. Hey, I'm kind of a part-time guy. I'm a commentator, and I love his commentary work.
Oh, sure.
But I mean, his match at War Games when he was in War Games was phenomenal. His
hmm
WrestleMania match against Theory I thought was entertaining,
hmm
and now I'm waiting to see what he does with Corbin.
Sure. Because, I mean, these are guys like Corbin and McAfee. Like, obviously, guys, we can tear down the fourth wall here. They're like best friends.
Yeah,
Like they're legitimate like best friends. They live together in
yeah,
Indianapolis.
they were teammates
Um,
together.
yeah, they were
Yeah.
teammates. You know that they're yucking it up, and I'm sure they have plans to make this match incredible.
I'm sure they do. And see, that's the thing when you got
Yeah.
guys who are good friends and
hmm
they go out. Look at as many times as we've seen it, Cena versus Orton. When we have those matches, there really wasn't a dud of those matches.
No,
because they're friends, they have the chemistry. And when
Well, because
that's
they're traveling down the road, and they probably already talked about what their rivalry would look like. So, like, because
yeah,
they train together at the performance center, that like they're sitting around all the time, like, oh man, wouldn't it be so cool if we were in the main event of a WrestleMania together? Oh
yeah,
God, we could do this spot and that spot, and
yeah,
like, and
we can do it
John
all.
Cena saw everything Randy Orton did, like as Randy Orton was learning how to do it, and same vice versa.
Yep.
And so they knew what would work and what wouldn't. That's the benefit from two guys that are around the same age, came up together in the business, and like, because again, that Corbin and McAfee had to sit there and both. They didn't just one day decide, okay, like we're gonna quit football, and so now we like pro wrestling. They were
Yeah.
fans of wrestling before that.
Before, right?
And they talked about, oh man, wouldn't it be cool if we went into WWE and we got to have a match against each other?
Exactly.
So I low key think that match could steal the show.
It wouldn't surprise me. Because what do we have on that card? We have Lesnar
Yeah,
Reigns. We have Street Profits against the Usos.
right.
You got Miz against Logan Paul. Rollins and Riddle might be able to steal the show.
Sure. Yeah.
Bianca Becky, 15th time.
Yeah. Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey.
Liv Morgan, Ronda Rousey again. Well, really, first
Yeah.
time since the
Really,
cash
first
in.
time. Yeah.
So that one might have some good potential too.
Yeah. Yeah. I
And
think that's
there's
an under the radar match too.
and there's one more we're missing because I
Theory
think
versus Lashley.
Theory versus
Yeah.
Lashley again.
Now I wonder if they'll have Theory take the U.S. title back, and then the fail like botch cash in.
I wonder. I wonder.
Because that would be like, okay, he wins step one, and so it's like, okay, now is he going to go on to try to complete step two?
Right. I don't know. And then meanwhile, as far as I'm concerned, the
Mm-hmm.
best champion on the main roster does not have a SummerSlam match.
Yeah, Gunther.
Gunther, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the best champion in all of WWE. That includes NXT.
Yeah, I would go with that. I mean, I do.
I mean, I like Mandy Rose. I mean, she's hot, but like she
Yeah,
can also go.
she can go. Another one I like, but I hate the name, is Braun Breaker.
Yeah,
And he can call
Braun
him Rex
Breaker looks
Steiner.
like
Come
he could
on.
be. Yeah, his name is Steiner. What's his
Right.
first name?
Yeah. I think Rex, maybe.
Okay, Rex Steiner. Just call him
Yeah,
Rex Steiner. Let
exactly.
him. I hated that they never called Joe Henning Joe Henning.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Curtis Axel.
Curtis Axel, Michael McGillicuddy. Like, stop it.
Yeah,
You're Joe Henning.
right. Just use the family name.
Like, all I wanted one time was for him to come out in the Mr. Perfect yellow singlet with the black backing to it
Nice. Yep.
and be Joe Henning. And, like, just I wanted that during the him and Bo Dallas thing. I wanted him to turn on Bo Dallas, be Joe Henning, and come out there and be a monster heel
Yeah.
and be a badass because I
He
thought
could
he
have
had
done,
that potential.
or that Father's Day night when
Yeah.
he won the title, the Intercontinental title,
Hmm.
at the pay-per-view. I forget which one it was.
Payback. Yeah.
Payback. They could have had him come out that night to that hole, to the perfect music, and it would have been a fitting tribute.
Absolutely. And when he had the T-shirt Beyond Perfect, I
Yep.
wanted to get that shirt. I never did. I should have.
Mhm.
Now you can't find it anywhere.
No, now it's probably sitting in a warehouse up in Connecticut.
Oh yeah, yeah. They probably got like 1,500 sitting in a warehouse.
Oh, they do.
Like,
One of
oh
my
man,
friends
this was
works for
going
a
to be
radio
huge.
station up there. That was one time. One of my good buddies works for a radio station up there. He sends me a picture. Look where I am. It was the Royal Roulette wheel. They just let
Oh,
him in the warehouse, and he took a picture of it and sent it to me.
that's so cool.
Yeah,
That is one of those things. I don't understand why WWE doesn't do this. Have like a whole setup of all their crazy gimmicks like that. Have like the gimmick section and like have tours. Have the Hall of Fame, have the physical Hall of Fame at Titan Towers.
yep.
I don't understand.
I think they're waiting for Orlando for a Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Because this way they could do the performance center there. They could build a Hall of Fame because enough
Hmm.
people go to Orlando. Let's face it, for vacations.
Sure.
And if you're going down
They
to
got a little
Disney
theme
or
park there, right?
Universal,
Yeah.
I think they got like 15 of them at this point between the two companies. Why not
Mm.
throw it there?
Yeah, I mean that would be a good idea. Have the Hall of Fame in Orlando, and can't you set up tours for the Performance Center? Or at least I know you could before the pandemic.
I'm assuming you can now because watching
Hmm.
NXT on Tuesday night, they're saying if you'd like to come to the Performance Center for a live NXT, I mean, they do have that arena filled every
Right.
Tuesday. So I don't see why not. They wouldn't have
Yeah.
tours again.
Like I would think it'd be so cool to be able to go there and like just kind of be a fly in the wall and see, some of the superstars or the eventual superstar, like the Rock's daughter training.
Right. Yeah. That would be cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
Now, speaking of NXT,
Hmm.
I don't know what they're going to do next, but that Corey Jade interview Tuesday was unbelievable. I don't know if
Okay,
you
I'm
caught it.
glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up because I had an idea for what they should do with the NXT Women's Tag Team titles.
Okay.
So, like, obviously, Cora Jade and Roxana Perez, they're now going to have a rivalry against each other.
Yeah.
Uh, What I would like to see them do is something kind of like the same move that ECW once upon a time did with Chris Candido and Lance Storm, where Paul Heyman cut this great promo and said that, you know what? You guys are the tag team champions. You will continue to defend those tag team titles. And if you do not, if I even sniff an impropriety there, you
You're
will
both gone.
simply be fired. You can
Yep.
apply your craft elsewhere. And I thought,
Yep.
damn, that's cool.
That
That's
would
what
be
they should
good if
do
they
with
did that. That would be a great idea because we haven't seen it in 25 years.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you did that, that could be a nice way to build up that feud because it's like, they could sit there just like Lance Storm and Chris Candido, where the two of them feuded during their tag team title defenses.
Yeah.
And it's like, Lance Storm would pop Chris Candido, and then Candido would roll up with a pin. Then Storm would come in to save him and be like, oh crap, I don't want to get fired, so I can't cost us
Yeah.
the titles. How cool would that be? Roxana Perez wants to deck Cora Jade so bad, but she knows if she does and they lose, she's going to get fired and her dream is taken away.
Yeah. That would be great.
I think, and the two of them being forced to team together,
Yeah.
like you could stretch this out over the course of a few months. Like this could be something that, like, my God, you could drag this to WrestleMania if you wanted to.
You really could. You could. I mean, for the women's war game match, maybe have them as champions but opposing captains.
Yes. Oh, that would be perfect.
That's something they can work on.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I like that idea.
Yeah, because I
Glad
thought
I
what
thought.
she did was great, and that would be a great building block.
And the thing is, like, and I would love for, like, Triple H to assume the Paul Heyman role in that spot. Triple H walks out there and, like, say the two of them are getting ready to fight, and like they're gonna throw away the tag team titles, and or Corey Jade's already thrown her title away. So
Right.
Triple H walks out to beginning at the beginning of NXT. Nobody knows what the hell's going on. Why is Triple H walking out here? Triple H, say he's carrying a bag. and it's like one of those black belt bags. Pulls out the NXT Women's Tag Team title that Cora Jade threw away, and he calls Cora Jade out, hands her title belt, and says, "You are responsible for defending these." He's like, "Tonight, you and Roxana Perez will be giving Toxic Attraction their rematch.
Right.
And if I even sniff an impropriety from either one of you two, I will fire your ass on the spot."
That would be amazing.
Right?
But somehow, some way, I think Toxic Attraction is going to get those titles back.
Probably.
Yeah, because I don't think they're that clever at this point.
No.
Yeah,
And it's a shame because I'm sitting there with this idea. I'm like, come on, man. Just like, it's not hard.
Or
It's already been done.
are they going to unify the vacated women's tag team titles?
Yeah.
'Cause
I mean,
it's
I really
been-
thought it was going to be
Why?
a great idea. Would have been Roxanne Perez and Cora Jade. Had Cora not turned on Roxanne, they show up on WWE television on Monday Night Raw or something, just being like, "Hey, I guess we're the only women's tag team champions in WWE."
Would have been great.
Right?
Yeah, because I don't know
I guess you
what
could
they're
still
doing.
do that if the two of them were to work together, say during this time, the next few months. And it could even start off similar to the Bar, where the Bar hated each other, but yet somehow they kept finding ways to win.
Yeah.
And then eventually it's like they become a legit tag team.
That would work because that's what they did. They did that. Was it the best out of 7 Foley made him
Yeah.
wrestle? And then it was Sheamus
Which
and
I really
Cesaro.
enjoyed. I didn't like it was so cheesy, the going down 3-0 and then coming back to force a match 7.
Yeah.
I thought that was a bit of a shtick. I didn't like that. But other than that, those two could have just absolute bangers all the time.
Right. And
And the fact that they had like 3 matches before the best of 7 even started.
yeah. Yeah. And those two had great chemistry.
Yeah.
And I think Cora and Roxanne could have that chemistry too.
Yeah.
And
Oh, absolutely. They're two best friends. What have
Yeah.
they been talking about for the last 5 years together?
yeah,
What their rivalry in WWE could be like.
and they're there. And they
Yeah.
both deserve to be there. So now
Oh, absolutely.
I would like to see it go up to the main roster, like escalate it a little bit, but they're probably going to keep him in NXT for a while.
Yeah. I agree with you. A great idea would be keep them in NXT, for now, and maybe have them both as entrants in the Women's Royal Rumble, and that's how you can introduce that rivalry onto the main roster.
Yeah. And see, to me, NXT is really not developmental anymore because
I know.
they're
It's
on
hard
USA
to look
Network.
at it and not see it that way for me, but it really isn't developmental anymore.
Right. I mean, they're on the USA Network. They're on a major cable network.
Yeah.
Their numbers, I guess, are still decent on there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess it's time to say that, they really are just a third brand of WWE.
Right. Even though WWE still wants them to be quote unquote developmental. Really, your developmental territory, if anything, is NXT UK right now.
Yeah. Yeah, UK is still pretty much developmental. Yeah.
I mean, because they did bring Jordan Devlin over finally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even though they gave him a new name. What is with WWE wanting to change the name? Like, why do they think that makes it a different character?
I think they're doing that to say that's our character. Because they switched Walter, who was Walter in the UK for as their longest reigning champion ever, to Gunther. And then, every one of... I don't think they want wrestlers to use their real names either. Because honestly, why change Casey Catanzaro's name?
Yeah, right?
She actually had appeal from American Ninja Warrior. People knew who she was.
Right.
She's a name. And then what do you get? Katana Chance, like, people know Casey Catanzaro. She's been on NBC. She did a ton of good stuff for Ninja Warrior.
Right.
Keep her the way her name is. But yeah, they've been in a real big rebranding kick. I don't get it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I haven't understood a lot of the name changes, and the Gunther name change, like that was just so weird. Like at the end of a match, he after being called Walter the entire match, he grabs a microphone and just says the winner of the match is Gunther.
yeah,
It's like what?
what? And then now it's Ludwig Kaiser with them. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Ludwig Kaiser in the role that he's in. That
Yes.
basically he's gonna set up whoever's gonna challenge Gunther next.
Right.
So, like, he had the match with Shinsuke Nakamura. Nakamura got the win, and so now Nakamura is going to get Gunther. And I would assume they're going to have the match at SummerSlam, although that hasn't been announced.
Please let them have the match at SummerSlam.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
would
they
steal the
really
show.
should. That's gonna that would be your show stealer right there.
Depending, because I really
If they give them
thought
a good, yeah.
if they give them enough time to tell the story, because
Mhm.
when Shinsuke challenged AJ for the title at WrestleMania, I thought they were gonna let that steal everything.
Yeah,
And
me
that
too.
was just horrible the way they let those two guys fall in that match. They didn't give
I
them enough
always
time.
said I've always said that at WrestleMania 34, if I had turned it off and gone to bed the second the shoulders counted three for AJ and Shinsuke Nakamura, I would have gone to bed happy with WrestleMania, and I would not have had a care in the world. I would have felt very good about the health of WWE.
Right.
Everything that happened in that last hour, I felt like was designed to piss me off as a wrestling fan. From the Shinsuke Nakamura heel turn after the match, which I thought was stupid.
Yep.
Have him turn heel during the course of the match. Like, let him do heel things.
Right.
And then it can kind of come out, like, at the end of the match. Then, like, everything about Braun Strowman and the Nicholas getting the tag team titles,
It was
which
horrible.
I really want Theory to win the tag team titles with somebody and then come out and say he's the youngest tag team champion of all time. And then have that referee whose kid it is just be like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. My son won him at 10.
And so, but yeah, like that was designed to piss me off. And then the Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match was just absolute horseshit.
And yet we get that treat again for SummerSlam.
Yay!
Just what we wanted to see. Another one.
To give you an idea of, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about, and it's a shame I'm doing it with like 5 minutes left to go in the show, but maybe we could go over. I mean, I think I have some stroke in this company here with
There we go.
that coverage, so we can go over if we want. So I've been debating, and now don't worry, I'm going to keep watching, even though. What is your opinion on people taking, say, breaks from pro wrestling? Like a lot of people talked about, like whether or not they taken breaks. Like, I'll admit I kind of took one when the original brand extension happened. I thought it was the dumbest thing in the history of the world, and I said I wasn't going to watch until they got rid of the brand split. I backed off of that when WrestleMania came around the next year, and I was just like, I have to watch WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Because I haven't missed one.
Yeah. It's tough because there's been times where I've thought, I'm not going to watch it again. I'm done.
Right.
But
it always draws you back in.
Draws you back in. And the thing is, it's like you could say, and now more than ever, you could say, I'm not going to watch WWE. But you have other options now.
Mhm.
where for a while there it was WWE and Impact
Uh,
with very limited TV coverage. I think it was like the Fox Sports Network when it first was starting out.
right, and
And
I know it went on
that,
Spike. Yeah.
yeah. But the thing is, when you look back at their pay per views, when they started doing the 3 hour monthly ones, I think that was 2004.
Hmm.
I didn't miss one for 4 or 5 years. I
Oh wow.
legitimately watched every Impact pay per view. I watched up until Hogan and Bischoff came. Then I stopped.
Okay.
That to me, that was the turning point because Impact was something different. I
Hmm.
enjoyed the product a lot, but then as soon as those faces start rolling, and I'm just like, they're going to take over. They're going to make it WCW 2.0.
Yeah.
And they tried, but somehow they're still around.
It's funny, and man, there was a couple times there where I really thought like Impact Wrestling's just about done.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, and then there were a couple times where like the Harris brothers, like they were running things, and like it was like I thought, okay, they've got like 4 or 5 episodes in the can of Impact, and I thought, and that's probably it.
Yeah.
And yet somehow then it would be a month later, like, oh, okay, they were able to get together, scrape up enough money for another month of tapings. And I
Yeah.
mean, it was touch and go to the point where I was really like, as much as I enjoy competition in the market, I was like, can WWE just buy them so we can like so I can have all the old Impact, all the old TNA pay per views like on demand in the network.
That's what I was hoping for. Expand the library for the
Like that's what
network.
I wanted. That's all I wanted out of the whole thing was just you know what? Because at the point in time, TNA wasn't very good anymore. Like it was
Oh, it
just
was bad.
awful,
Yeah.
and like
At least,
it went. Yeah, go ahead.
oh, at least now it's probably the best 2 hours.
Yeah, I mean there are still parts of it that I fast forward through, but I mean not very much. I watch
Yeah.
Josh Alexander. Man, that dude can go. Like he's
He's awesome.
fantastic in the ring, and
And
Eric
I'm
Young is such a great heel.
that's
Like,
another guy. How
yeah,
did Vince drop the ball on him? He dropped the
he was
ball on
another one that I
him.
sat there and just like every time they do something with him on Impact, I'm like, boy, if only WWE could get their hands on him. Bet you they'd do something special with that guy.
Oh boy. And boy did they do something special with him.
It was
Oh,
special, all right.
yeah. He was
It,
so talented and just a waste.
yeah, and just and whenever you see a lot of these guys that were failures in WWE and you see them succeeding elsewhere, like Mike Bennett. Mike Bennett, what the hell did Mike Bennett ever do in WWE? But yeah, Mike Bennett is so freaking talented.
I I don't know.
And I
Because
actually even liked the whole calling him Michael Kanellis and kind of like being Mr. Maria Kanellis.
right, it was something different
Sure.
that that could have worked. But again, a guy who had so much great matches in Ring of Honor, and
Hmm.
they just squandered him. And now look at him in Impact again, throwing great matches with this
Yeah,
Honor No
it's like
More.
I still like it blows my mind when I see him there and I think to myself when he was in WWE, I remember thinking, man, I really wish when Mike Bennett I really miss when Mike Bennett was good. Like when
Yeah,
he was great like and I thought I'm like, he must suck now. He must not be able to wrestle a lick anymore. And then
yeah,
he goes back out on the indies and it's like, oh wait, no, here's this guy that I knew could go before and can still go.
yeah.
EC3
And
is another one.
uh, I don't get what he's doing though with this create your narrative thing that they're trying to launch.
I feel like it has to be something that he was told in WWE, like some like. the control your narrative has to be some line that some creative guy said to him that pissed him off. And so he's like, I'm going to use that line for all it's worth.
Either him or Braun. Something happened to one of those two with that line.
Right.
Because I don't get the way the rules of this company, they were trying to explain them, and I'm just like, I don't know what they're going to do.
Yeah. I don't either.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And then I saw on Facebook an advertise that they're actually going to try to do live shows.
Okay.
Yeah, they're coming to Philly. I forget, like October, November. It'll be interesting if they draw anyone.
It's never going to work. Like, there's no way that, like, screw it, sign me up for a ticket. I'll go.
Yeah, I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. I forget what arena it's in. I think it's somewhere in North Philly, too.
It's got to be the Liacouras Center, right?
No, it's somewhere weird. Like an art center or somewhere. I don't know what they're thinking of. It's not even in 2300 arena. I think it was like North 7th Street. I'll have to look at it and see.
Oh, I wonder if it's the old ECW arena.
No, that's down 2300.
Okay.
Swanson.
Yeah, 2300. Yeah, and Swanson.
Yeah, that's the 2300 arena. So.
Yeah. I do know that arena quite well. I still think I could close my eyes and drive from my house to that arena. Don't worry, everybody. I won't actually do that.
And they're having a Icons of Wrestling show there in a couple weeks.
Oh, nice.
Where they're bringing, I think, like Kurt Angle and some of the legends are coming to sign meet and greet down there. Yeah.
See, that's something I haven't done. Like, I'm not a big autograph guy. Like, I used to work. I interned at 97.5 The Fanatic. Okay. And so, like, I know a bunch of the hosts there. Like, I met Mike Missinelli. I met Brian Baldinger, Jamie Lynch, a whole bunch of those guys. And, like, I don't know, like, I couldn't ask, like, one of those guys for an autograph. Like, it would just be weird.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I've hung out, like, I've had a beer with Brian Westbrook, which is just kind of sounds weird to say. But, like, so I feel like whenever anyone's like, oh man, like I got Brian Westbrook's autograph, I'd be like, yeah, I couldn't ask Brian for his autograph.
Yeah.
And so like I've never quite been into the autograph scene.
Yep.
But it just seems cool. Like
it is. I've done,
as cool as they are.
I've done a couple of the conventions because I collect action figures and I used to collect Funko Pops. It's like I actually sold it a couple of them, and it's amazing how big of a crowd you could get when the right people are there.
Yeah.
Because when it was Flair and the original NWO minus Hogan there, you couldn't even walk into, and it was in the ECW arena, the main floor. It was so mobbed, you couldn't even walk in the aisles. That's how many people they packed in there.
Wow.
But then the next show, it was a good set of headliners. It was Jerry Lawler, Jim Ross, the Rock and Roll Express. By like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, you could just look down and there was no one there. It was depressing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I thought, big crowd for that, but yeah. But no, it's interesting. It's interesting. I did get to meet 2 months before he passed away, Harley Race. That was the cool one.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have been on my list of guys I would want to meet. Him and Leon White. I would have wanted to meet Leon White.
Yeah, he seems
Vader
like
was one of my favorites as a kid. Yeah.
It seems like he could have told some great stories, Vader.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I still loved watching on the WWE Network the Sam Roberts podcast that he did.
Yep.
And he talked about an alternate universe where he was trying to change up like or in his mind, fix something that went wrong, but yet like not change the basis of what made like. So in 1996, his idea was Shawn Michaels still has to win the Royal Rumble,
Yep.
and still has to headline WrestleMania. But his thought was, okay, you have Vader challenge Shawn Michaels. Diesel comes out because they're still buddies at this point and says, "Hey, Shawn's kind of busy that night, but I'm free." And
Right.
Diesel and Vader, and then afterwards, Vader still challenging Shawn Michaels. Vader, I think it was Vader would win the WWE title at SummerSlam,
Okay.
and then retain the championship at Survivor Series. And then Vader versus Shawn at the Royal Rumble in San Antonio. Shawn has to put his career on the line, and Shawn wins
At
at
home.
home.
Yep.
And then you do the whole he lost his smile and that whole shtick.
Yeah.
But it was interesting because his idea was he wanted to give Vader 2 runs as the world champion.
Right. Which he should have had in WWF.
Yeah.
Considering when you look back, the year of '93 in WCW, just how dominant of a champion he was, and how
Right.
great of a program he had with Foley, with Simmons, with Sting. It was amazing. And then they finally had him lose the title to Flair in the career versus
Yeah, the
title
career
match.
ending. Yeah.
And that was in Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
That's Starrcade.
In the debut of Charlotte Flair that night.
Yes.
She was at the house when Rick was leaving,
Yep.
along with David and Reed. God rest his soul.
Yeah. Now that's
Boy.
going to be a train wreck, I think.
Oh.
That Flair last match, I don't get why he's doing it.
Yeah, I don't get it. So it's him and his son-in-law Andrade
Yes.
against Jay Lethal and who was the other one?
Double J.
Oh, Jeff Jarrett.
Yep.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, and it really is. It is an interpromotional match
Yeah,
because Double J is executive vice president in WWE now.
yeah.
Yeah.
And look, I still remember it was, I guess, about a year ago or whenever like AEW and Impact started working together. Um, Triple H coming out and saying that WWE would be very open to the idea of working with another company. In fact, it was supposedly like it was all but done for them to be working with New Japan.
Yeah, and then another one I remember rumors were going to be that they were going to send down to MLW.
Right, I had
And
heard
work
that as
with
well.
them. Yeah, because they have so many people in NXT, they need to do something with them. So
Right. And that could be a good way, like if they were to acquire MLW and really treat that as the true breeding ground, like the true developmental that
Yeah.
NXT was supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's really the problem that NXT ran into is their own success. Like fans, the hardcore fans gobbled up that whole idea of we could watch the next superstars like before they become superstars.
Yeah.
Like wrestling fans are a devout group. Like
They are.
I mean, we're total nerds for this.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you say, "Oh, this is going to be where your next superstars come from." Hence the term NXT. The abbreviation of next.
You're
And
going to
it's
watch.
like I have to see who's coming up next.
Yeah. And when it was on the network, it was perfect, I thought.
Yeah,
The true
1
diehard
hour.
fans,
Like yeah,
1 hour.
Mhm.
They did the first ever live event to get ready
Yeah, it
for
was
WrestleMania
NXT.
30 was the NXT Takeover Arrival, which was phenomenal. And
Yeah, it
then,
was.
and
Which
then,
culminated with Neville and Bo Dallas in a ladder match.
yeah. And where are they now?
Neither one of them there.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Look, Bo Dallas, I think, is he still with Liv Morgan?
I
So,
I believe he is.
so he's still one in that equation. Good for you, buddy.
Right. Yeah.
I believe.
Good old Bo. Oh God. Talk about a horrible gimmick.
But he was so
Good at it.
into it. Like he was
Yeah.
100% invested in that gimmick.
And it worked.
Yeah. And then they have him lose to R-Truth, and he never gets going again.
No. No, it was a shame. It was a shame.
And I loved it. It was everything. Like instead of like his undefeated streak, he was 17 and Bo, and like, it was
Yeah,
fantastic.
it was great. It was great. I thought that they were going to do more with him, but then he
Yeah,
just became the Mrs. Lackey and rode off into the sunset.
yeah, that was such a shame.
And I think he's done with the business, from what he said,
Did it? Yeah, I wouldn't
because
blame him.
because I think he got into real estate.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah,
Well, I always wanted him to end up teaming with Bray Wyatt or doing something with Bray.
that
It's
would
his
have been great.
brother,
Yeah,
right?
and I mean that's another thing. How big WWE is on family.
Yeah.
Like they're always for the Anoa'i family, and
Oh my God, yeah. If I swear, like if you have a kid, if you're a kid and you're in the Onai family,
you're getting in
you're going to be in
contact.
wrestling,
Right, you are, it seems like. And then even his loyalty to the Rhodes family and
right? The fact
the
that Cody could leave, start another promotion, and dog WWE forever, and then still be welcome back. Like, come on home.
come on home. I mean, but then like the Mulligan family, the Wyndham family, he had the grandfather, the father, and the uncle work for him for a long time.
Right.
And then they didn't push. Bray got the main title, but it wasn't an epic run that he deserved. And Bo did nothing.
No, Bray never got the run that he truly deserved.
Yeah. Because I mean, he was really over that Fiend character.
Oh my God, he was completely over.
Yeah. I mean, I was not a huge fan of it, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone else loved it, it seemed like. So,
I was entertained by it. I definitely liked it. I wouldn't say I loved it the way a lot of people loved it.
you know.
I was entertained by it. I actually preferred the Eater of Worlds.
Okay.
I really
Yeah.
liked that character, like
Yeah.
the cult leader that I think Joe Gacy is kind of modeling his character after.
Yeah, it's that Vince phenomenon with Cape Fear.
Yeah.
Because he tried to have Danny Spivey be Waylon Mercy for a while.
Mm-hmm.
And then that didn't work. Bray, I thought, played the cult leader phenomenally.
Mm-hmm.
I thought with Luke Harper, God rest his soul, and Eric Rowan, they were phenomenal together.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's a dark return with Joe Gacy.
Oh, it's creepy.
Yeah.
Like I kind of wanted him to win the NXT championship, and I wanted to see what he would have done with it. I still want to see it.
It might happen. It might happen because he's got to be in the top 3 or 4 contenders when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because they have Cameron Grimes up there. They have Jordan Devlin or JD McDonough. And Gacy's got to be right up there,
get his
too.
next shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd really love to see Joe Gacy get back into the title picture, win the NXT championship, and I want to see him take it that dark turn.
Yeah. I think it will happen eventually.
Yeah, I think it has to.
Yeah.
All right, I think we're gonna go ahead. I feel like we could ramble on for hours tonight about.
I think so. Yeah, there's so much to talk about and digest.
Yeah.
And it's been a interesting couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I I know next week I am on vacation, so I will be down the Jersey Shore. So
Enjoy.
I'll have to keep everybody apprised to the schedule for the show next
Yeah.
week.
Yeah.
So I guess this is kind of the go home edition before SummerSlam.
Before SummerSlam, okay. Then we'll recap SummerSlam in 2 weeks.
There we go. Yeah, we'll recap SummerSlam afterwards.
I'm sure there's going to be a lot of complaints.
I'm sure it kind of is setting itself up that way. Apparently, the guys who write the show are not happy with what's going on with the show for SummerSlam. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, well, then couldn't you just change it?
Can't you write it? You still got 10 days.
Yeah, like if you don't like the direction it's going, then let's change course.
Right. Yeah, I think it's going to be a train wreck.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. All right, everybody, have a great night. Thanks for tuning in. Till we see you next time, everybody. Happy wrestling.